समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
आप समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
These couple of days, you've been watching images of Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the RSS headquarters in Nagpur. And in Nagpur, RSS is like a twin headquarters. There is Smriti Mandir. That's where the memorial for Keshav Baliram Hedgewar, the founder of the RSS, is located. Also, the samadhi of M.S. Golwalkar, his successor. Those two wrote the defining texts of the RSS and laid down its ideology. Adjoining this is the RSS Karyalay, or the headquarters or the office. That's where the Sarsang Chalak, the head of the RSS, usually lives in a very Spartan lifestyle. I've been there. I've spent some time also with the former Sarsang Chalak, K. Sudarshan. That is when I had gone to record a walk the talk with him. I had a meal with him, a dinner. It is very Spartan. It is Spartan as Spartan can be. Just sitting on the floor in a little platter. You have a little bit of sabzi and little bit of dal and two chota small rotis. This is very, very minimalistic. That is the lifestyle that RSS Pracharaks and the RSS leadership leads. That's where the Prime Minister is gone. This is effectively two campuses, but very close to each other. While there are these two installations of the RSS in Nagpur, for clarity, the Prime Minister did not go to the Karyalay, which is the headquarters. He went, on the other hand, to where the Smriti Mandir is, where the samadhis of the two founders are located. Also the parade ground where the Vijayadashmi parade and the Sarsang Chalak's speech is held, and also the big RSS school or academy is located. That is where the Prime Minister went. That's located in Reshim Bagh area. You can, for all practical purposes, call it one large campus. It is also true that the RSS has meanwhile built a very sizable building for itself in New Delhi. That is nothing like the modest establishment in Nagpur. That is very different, modern, multi-story and all that. However, the home of the RSS continues to be Nagpur. A BJP government, for all practical purposes, is a government of the RSS, and that's why it's quite unusual that in almost 16 and a half years of BJP prime ministerships, it's only the second time that a BJP prime minister is visiting the RSS headquarters or the twin headquarters in Nagpur. Before Prime Minister Modi now, the last visit by a serving Prime Minister was in 2000, in the year 2000 by Atal Bihari Vajpayee. In the 10 and a half Modi years, it's the first visit, which makes it even more significant. Now you might say that, look, why would you expect any other Prime Minister other than the BJP going to the RSS headquarters? Because the fact is that all the other parties, the Congress or parties aligned to it, usually would be hostile to the RSS and vice versa. So it is not reasonable to expect any of the other prime ministers to have gone there. But the fact is, in 16 and a half years of BJP prime ministerships between Atal Bihari Vajpayee and Narendra Modi, it's only the second time that a serving prime minister is visiting the RSS in Nagpur. That until the Prime Minister, now Prime Minister Modi, has now gone to the RSS headquarters, India has had nearly 17 years of rule by BJP prime ministers. All right, if you really want to be finicky, you can say 16 and a half years or thereabouts of rule by BJP prime ministers. Now, that is one thing. It is not as if the establishment by and large, even the non-BJP establishment by and large, now sees the RSS with as much of a sense of distance as or revulsion as was the case in the past. We also need to note that Pranab Mukherjee also visited the RSS headquarters. That made the Congress party very unhappy. Afterwards, when he was accorded the honor of Bharat Ratna by the BJP government, Modi government, Congress party, for all practical purposes at the top, stayed out of it. So they saw it as a betrayal. It's been that polarized a situation. In that polarized situation, it's taken 6.5 years of BJP prime ministers in power between Narendra Modi and Atal Bihari Vajpayee that a BJP prime minister has now visited the RSS headquarters. Now you might ask, so what's the big deal? And how come it's taken this long? So first of all, it is a big deal because it was in the run-up of the last Lok Sabha elections, 2024. In the run-up of the elections, an impression had gathered that BJP had become so powerful under Prime Minister Narendra Modi that all the vote was got for the BJP in the name of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, that as long as he was on the ticket, everybody was on his ticket, he could hold a lamppost election, and he also talked about 400, ab ki baar 400 bar. So the party thought they could sweep that election by themselves. They did not particularly need the RSS. Now they did not quite say that. There was one interview with the Indian Express where party president JP Nadda said that, we've now grown up, we can stand on our own feet. He used expressions in Hindi, which I can repeat for you. JP Nadda said in that interaction that BJP was growing up, its second time growing up. He used a Hindi expression of which I am not repeating to you because then I will be translating. But to sum up, what he meant was the BJP has now grown to a stature where it can stand on its own feet. It can fend for itself. This was seen by the RSS as a signal that the BJP now thought they could manage by themselves. That's the reason it was widely seen by also people covering that election that the RSS cadres were pretty much out of the fight. Either they thought that the BJP now thinks they can manage by themselves just in the name of the Prime Minister, so why should we bother? This is too much work. Or maybe there was also a sense of resentment that cost the BJP dearly, and BJP were reduced to 240. Indresh Kumar, who is a ranking leader of the RSS and head of the RSS's Muslim Morcha, he made a statement after that on this, pointing to some of this. He said that BJP had grown ahankar, which is arrogance. So God had punished it. At the same time, he said, this is Ram Rajya. Lord Ram is very fair. He also knew that the India bloc was not pro-Ram. So, wo Ram Virodhi hain, they are anti-Ram. That's why they stopped them also short at 237. They stopped BJP at 240 instead of a majority, but they stopped India bloc even shorter than BJP because they were Ram Virodhi. So they punished one for arrogance, they punished the other for being anti-Ram or anti-Hinduism. After that came Sarsang Chalak's Dashera speech, where he said many things, but he also said that he wanted a gentler politics where everybody is taken along and the opposition is not seen as Virodhi, that is adversary, but it should preferably be seen as Pratipaksh, the other side or the opposition, and he made some other statements like that. There were also statements from others. For example, a very prominent RSS spokesman Ratan Sharda, who said it's a reality check, that election for the BJP. Since then, the BJP started damage control with the RSS. They started damage control, and probably the RSS also realized that this sullenness had cost their party too much. So they did not they cannot afford to see the BJP declining. That's why they came out in strength in Haryana elections and then Maharashtra elections, and all of us know the impact it had. I'm not saying that only that swept those elections for the BJP. Maharashtra was a sweep, Haryana was a clear victory, and then Delhi was a clear victory, nearly a sweep. In all of those, the RSS was out in full force as it used to do in the past. In fact, I would say even more so, because just as the BJP had realized that it cannot leave the RSS behind, that it cannot annoy the RSS and still keep winning elections, the RSS also realized that if it continued to be sullen, its own party will lose more elections and lose more power, which will be very bad for the RSS and the agenda that it has. Now, RSS has had other issues with Modi government. RSS, for example, has always stood against personality cult. RSS's founders have spoken against personality cult. RSS's great teachers whose text the RSS believes in, they've spoken of a personality cult, and that is also something that Narendra Modi is now trying to fix by going to the RSS headquarters, by being with the RSS chief now, visiting the samadhis of RSS's founder and his successor, the authors of RSS's basic foundational documents. The point he's making is, I am also one of the Swayam Sevaks. I have come in the humility of a Swayam Sevak, not with the power of a prime minister. I've come in with the humility of a Swayam Sevak as a former pracharak, not with the arrogance and not with the pomp of a prime minister. So this is a very sensitive relationship. It's Guru Shishya, very sensitive and very valuable. You can call it Guru Shishya, you can also call it father son. I know these days the preference is for parent child, but I'm deliberately choosing father son because that is the nature of the organization. All of the RSS leadership is male. That is the reason I preferred father son to parent child in this situation. The RSS view has generally been, and this is something that the RSS leaders have said in the past, that if it's a relationship between the father and the son, if the son doesn't listen to the father, the son is left to his own fate. What can the father do? Prime Minister Modi has been doing repair work on him. Even if you watch his podcast with Lex Fridman, he speaks about his relationship with the RSS, and he says that he was overwhelmed by the RSS's, and I am quoting from that podcast, service-driven philosophy, and he said that he found life's purpose because of the RSS. Now, at the RSS headquarters, he had praised the RSS as Akshay Vraksha or an ancient concept, traditional concept of a banyan tree with lots of branches and lots of roots, very spread out roots and branches. And he said all of its workers are like its branches, all of its office bearers are like its roots, etc., etc. And this is the banyan tree, or a traditional concept of banyan tree, which represents the immortal culture of India and its modernization now. As I told you, he went to the samadhi of the founder, K.B. Hedgewar. He also went to Madhav Nethralaya, which is an eye hospital named after M.S. Golwalkar, the successor to Hedgewar and the author of Bunch of Thoughts, which is something that the RSS has followed in the course of time. Although Mohan Bhagwat in many speeches has said that not everything said at that point of time in Bunch of Thoughts might be relevant now, because context keeps changes and times keep changing. Golwalkar himself had spoken strongly against hero worship. RSS-BJP, and before that RSS-Janasangh. Janasangh was the precursor of the BJP. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, read an article by our reporter Sanya Dhingra, of which I'll share a link with you. You will also see the screenshots on your screens. She gives us this very intricate story of the RSS-Janasangh and RSS-BJP relationship. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, who was a member of Nehru's cabinet, he was one of the founders and one of the presidents of Hindu Mahasabha. Hindu Mahasabha was founded in 1915. RSS came up in 1925, 10 years later. So Hindu Mahasabha at that point thought that the RSS will be there, but Hindu Mahasabha will be the political party that the RSS backstops. RSS at that point said they did not want to be in politics. They wanted to be a social cultural organization. That annoyed Hindu Mahasabha. It is because of that annoyance with the RSS, given RSS's reluctance to go near politics, that Hindu Mahasabha distanced itself from the RSS. Hedgewar, for example, said RSS is an organization totally aloof from politics. This also upset Savarkar, who was the leader of Hindu Mahasabha, and he was aghast, and he said, what will be written on the epitaph of an RSS worker? He was born, joined RSS, he died. In the same process, Nathuram Godse also got disillusioned and left the RSS in 1932. In fact, at some point, Hindu Mahasabha launched an RSS kind organization, Ram Sena, which also wore khaki shorts, and Savarkar himself founded Hindu Rashtra Dal. At that point, Golwalkar used an expression which we heard just last year in the Sarsang Chalak's Dashera speech, that if a crow sits on the spire of a temple, it does not become an eagle. That is what Golwalkar had then said for somebody else trying to trying to copy the RSS or Hindu or Hindu ideology and become a politician. That's the expression that Bhagwat this time used to berate those who said have now become freelance Hindutva walas who think that by starting anything somewhere, by discovering any temple under any other place of religion, they think they can become protectors or purveyors of the new Hindutva. So it's an expression that's been used in the past, although in a different context. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee now worked with the RSS to form, he left Hindu Mahasabha and he contacted Golwalkar. They formed Bharatiya Jan Sangh. Bharatiya Jan Sangh, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee led it. Then he died in mid-50s. When he died, he had two deputies. He had Mauli Chandra Sharma and he had Deen Dayal Upadhyay. Mauli Chandra Sharma was not a Swayam Sevak. In the course of time, Deen Dayal Upadhyay continued to be the head of the Jan Sangh. Then he was succeeded by Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and then we know the subsequent history better until 1977 when the Jan Sangh merged with the other opposition parties into Janata Party and became one party. That party broke up. After that, in 1980, the Jan Sangh was reborn as Bharatiya Janata Party, and that is what Advani described in a Walk the Talk interview with me. In fact, first of the three, I think, that we recorded, it was actually the first Walk the Talk interview published, and we recorded it in front of the North Block building on Good Friday, the holiday, and he remembered that the BJP was born on the Easter weekend. And he said, I had then said that just as Christ is reborn, Easter weekend, that is how BJP was also reborn. Remember that Advani had gone to a convent school in Karachi. RSS over the decades has had a very interesting approach to the establishment and to the ruling parties in India, ruling parties and politics. While it has been very close to the BJP, there is no BJP without the RSS. Whenever BJP has tried to go away from the RSS and RSS has got annoyed, BJP has suffered. So 1984 was not really BJP's fault. They did not try to go away from the RSS, but the RSS decided at that point that given the threat to India's integrity with Sikh radicalism rising and so much terrorism going on, it was better, India was safer in the hands of a Rajiv Gandhi with a Congress majority than with a coalition government. So they effectively worked with Rajiv Gandhi. There was also later a meeting or supposedly a meeting between Rajiv Gandhi and Balasaheb Devaras, who was then the RSS chief. Then the RSS got disillusioned with the Congress party over the Shah Bano case, and we know the rest of the history as well. So this change of mind or this annoyance has followed a 20-year cycle. That is something I had written about in an earlier national interest of which I will share links with you of text as well as the video. 1984, the RSS got annoyed. 2004, the RSS again got annoyed because Vajpayee had tried to run his 6-year government by not defying the RSS, but not following the RSS in many ways, including over the economic ideas. Vajpayee followed its own path and did not defer to the RSS. And the RSS was furious. That is something that K.S. Sudarshan, then Sarsang Chalak, also said in a 2-part Walk the Talk that we in a two-part walk the talk that we recorded at the RSS headquarters in Nagpur. In that election also, RSS did not come out and the BJP suffered. They lost power. 20 years later in 2024, the BJP did not lose power, but they lost their majority. And once again, what was the common factor? The RSS was annoyed and they did not come out. In fact, if you tell me to go backwards on this 20-year epoch, in fact, in 1963, Republic Day, Jawaharlal Nehru himself had invited the RSS contingent to participate in the Republic Day parade. So the same people who had banned the RSS not long back had now embraced it, and this was out of gratitude for the services RSS Swayamsevaks rendered during the India-China war that took place just a couple of months earlier, and that is when a lot of the volunteer activity was required, particularly with civil defense. And even subsequently in the short Shastri era, when it looked like war with Pakistan was inevitable, Lal Bahadur Shastri reached out to Golwalkar and conferred with him. Now in his Dashera address last year, Sir Sangchalak said that RSS does not do any politics, it does not lead any political party, it does not campaign. What the RSS does, he said, is fine-tune public opinion. That's what he said. Also listen to what some of the former stalwarts of the RSS and the BJP said. Sanya Dhingra story quotes Karnataka Prant Pracharak Mukund from his writing, who says that Deen Dayal Upadhyay was asked by a Swayamsevak that if power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, what will happen if the Janasangh gets power and gets corrupted? So Deen Dayal Upadhyay said to him, if the political party started by the Sangh becomes corrupt, Sangh has the power to destroy it. That is the kind of sway the RSS has over the BJP, and the RSS itself carries on with its idea. Obviously, it will prefer to have power, but its larger idea is the long-term cultural, ideological, psychological dominance of its worldview. It's also a very important and landmark year for both Mohan Bhagwat and Narendra Modi. Both will turn 75 this year. Mohan Bhagwat has said in the past that he doesn't want people to serve beyond the age of 75. However, there is no discussion over any succession in the RSS as yet. Prime Minister Modi also at some point might have expressed the opinion about 75 year being retirement age, but once again he's not talking about it. In fact, in Parliament he said just the other day that this is only the third term for the BJP, so you know that nothing is ruled out for 2029 in the next election as well. That said, both will turn 75 this year within just about a week of each other. Mohan Bhagwat on 11th of September this year and Prime Minister Modi on 17th of September this year. That becomes one more notable factor in this politically very significant visit. What does it mean? What does it mean? It means this BJP also fully going back into the folds of the RSS, of its teacher or its father. You can choose the expression you want. D.K. Singh, our political editor, in his column puts it very well. He says it's a case of Sangham Sharanam Gachami. I think he's also inspired by the fact that on the same day Prime Minister Modi also visited Diksha Bhumi, which is the place where Bhimrao Ambedkar got his Diksha and became a Buddhist.